No, I think it runs in our family because my grandfather was a coach. My father was a coach. When my father used to coach, I used to always help him, and yes, I mean, I, I have been preparing for a couple of years now. In fact, 3 years ago, I started a degree in sports science and coaching in football, which I graduated last week, from the University of Hull. Of course, I did my UEFA C and UEFA B diploma so far, and I hope that this year, if things are better than next year, I will start my UEFA A license diploma. Yes, and in the meantime, as things are a little bit weird in this world, I'm doing some online courses to help me as well maximize my potential in regards to coaching. However, I think that I retired and I wanted to become a coach. In fact, a lot of people told me that you retired very young because I was like 33, and nowadays footballers keep on playing until the age of 38, some of them even 40. However, yes, I believe that as a coach, it's better if you start a little bit before, so you can practice your methodology, you can have more experience, and why not? And hopefully in the future, I will follow my dream, that's to coach a professional team abroad.
The VAR Show. The one place for your weekly football update.
So hello everyone, welcome to the VAR show, the show which talks about all the various major football leagues in detail. Today we are going to connect you with, and we have Mr. André Schembri with us, who has played for the likes of Jena and Ferencváros, Frankfurt, Malta, among a host of other teams. So without wasting much time, I would like to first thank André for coming on the show during this festival period, where probably many of them would not come, and they took the time out of his busy schedule and has come. And thank you and welcome to the show. And I would like to begin by asking you, how are you and how has this festive period been for you, where probably it's been quite weird for compared to previously, at least our generation or this 2-3 generations have not experienced anything like this sort of a pandemic or something like this. How has it been for you?
Hi everyone, thank you very much for the invitation. First of all, it's a pleasure for me to be part of your show. Yes, as you mentioned, the things are not as normal as they used. Unfortunately, where I'm based at the moment in Cyprus, the situation is not that good. So the shops, all the cafeterias, all the restaurants are all closed. We practically can't do nothing, to be honest. However, at least I have the chance to coach one-to-one because that's the rule. So I can coach a player, only just a player. So at least, I have 3 hours every day coaching individually. But yes, I think in this situation, the most important is that we try and be safe and we stay healthy, right?
Definitely. And recently you hung up your boots, and probably this is the first season after you retired from maybe professionally playing, and it has been quite weird. And since you have gotten into coaching, where probably you have to travel a lot as a coach, or you have to interact with a lot more people than compared to when you're playing, how has it been for you? Because as soon as you thought of getting into coaching, now you cannot meet a lot of people or you cannot travel. How are you coping with it?
Yes, it's not easy. To be honest, yes, it's a drastic change from a player to a manager. However, to be honest, I think the few months I did as a coach, because I felt that I prefer coaching than playing, to be honest. I really enjoy coaching because as a coach, you can influence much more the players than you are as a player. And the first couple of months weren't easy for me because, of course, I am still building my own philosophy and my own methodology. So I have to try it out in training and experiment. However, things were going well with my team. But unfortunately, everything had to stop because of the COVID. And we have to go to back to square one. So it's not easy to start again. But at this time I'm coaching our players one-to-one individually. So at least I can I can coach my players and try and help them, to improve their weaknesses.
And you're like, was coaching something you always planned that you'd get into, or was it something like when you retired or when you thought of retiring? Like many of them I've spoken to, they've said that okay, we wanted to stay in the game, so we did coaching. For you, what was it? Did you always plan to get into coaching, or was it something that you just thought of when you retired?
No, I think it runs in our family because my grandfather was a coach. My father was a coach. When my father used to coach, I used to always help him, and yes, I mean, I, I have been preparing for a couple of years now. In fact, 3 years ago, I started a degree in sports science and coaching in football, which I graduated last week, from the University of Hull. Of course, I did my UEFA C and UEFA B diploma so far, and I hope that this year, if things are better than next year, I will start my UEFA A license diploma. Yes, and in the meantime, as things are a little bit weird in this world, I'm doing some online courses to help me as well maximize my potential in regards to coaching. However, that I retired and I wanted to become a coach. In fact, a lot of people told me that you retired very young because I was like 33, and nowadays footballers keep on playing until the age of 38, some of them even 40. However, yes, I believe that as a coach, it's better if you start a little bit before, so you can practice your methodology, you can have more experience, and why not? And hopefully in the future, I will follow my dream, that to coach a professional team abroad.
Different. And you, like you said, like how you did your UFA C and B when you were playing, many of the players complete even their pro by the time they finished playing. Was it something that you thought that you started late, that and you hope that you wanted to finish it, or you think now when you look back that you should have done it earlier, so that like as soon as you finish you could get more into maybe sports science, which you said you are doing, or something from Hull or from different other aspects? Was it something that you're thinking, or looking back you think now?
No, I mean, it depends the country you are playing in, because some countries don't allow you to do, for example, the UEFA A whilst you're still playing, because some countries tell you that in order to do the UEFA A diploma, you need to have an experience of 1 year coaching the youth development phase, And I don't know how other countries accept players. For example, if we think about Pirlo, who never coached, but he has already the pro license, I can't understand it, because at the the day of the licenses, but about the experience, about trying, about man management, about also game management in the game. It's not easy. Some people think that because you are a player, it's easy to become a coach, but it's totally different. And as Mourinho once said, that what's the difference between those coaches who were never big players make it better than those coaches who were big players, is because the other coaches, took time to study, took time to experience, took time to use their methodology. They researched a lot. And that's what's the difference between the big coaches who never were players and the average coaches who were big players. So I can see that, because from my side, although I had many experiences in various countries, once I was as a coach, it's a totally different story.
Definitely. And like now you said like how you are involved in one-on-one coaching with, I think, the trainer with a double A. What is that, and how did you get associated with that?
No, apart from my team, which I'm coaching in Cyprus in the youth development phase, yes, I, together with my friend, we co-founded this company called Trainer. And basically, the aim of this company is to fulfill the potential of the player. And as you know, nowadays, to fulfill your potential, you need to be, but most important, in your physical side of the game, in your mental side. You need to be aware of what you eat, your nutrition, also your psychology. And the project Trainer is the aim of it is to try and maximize your potential through a holistic team. With these experts, with an expert as a strength and conditioning, as a performance psychologist, as a nutrition, as also as a tactical coach. And the player has a team behind him, and the team will help this player to maximize his potential, to be as good as he can in all aspects of the game, However, is a remote coaching, it's remotely, to try and meet you wherever you live, So we try and meet you, we do the tests, we do a strength and conditioning test, we do also a psychological test, and then we will develop you an individual development plan to help you fulfill your potential.
Definitely.
And in the same time, we coach you remotely.
And is it like something like anyone from anywhere across the world can access, or is it something that you have to be physically near one of your co-founders or one of your coaches who are there?
No, basically, we started this project in my native country, Malta, and yes, we hopefully in the next year we go global. But no, I mean, it doesn't mean that you have to be in Europe to be part of this project. The most important thing is that we try and not we try. The first step is we have to meet you first. You know, we have to see, and also it's not this project is not for everybody, but we will scout as we will know who you are exactly if you fit into this project, because this project is not just a project that everybody can do it, but those people who aspire to be professional at the end of the day, or who are in the professional development phase. You know. It's a really project which you need to be committed, because you have like a training program every day. We monitor your we compare your stats with players who are playing at the top level, so you could see where you stand, you know, from the physical side.
Definitely. And like I wanted to ask you, like I'll get back to your playing, and you have played across a lot of leagues, you know, like be it Hungary, Portugal, India recently. And like, did you always want to travel a lot? Because, you know, like at least, because since you said like coaching is there in your blood through the generations, and what better way than to, you know, like travel and, you know, like learn from different you know, like cultures. Maybe, okay, like maybe India is not as developed as maybe other countries in terms of football, but you learn some other culture there which probably you can utilize somewhere down the line. So was it something like you always wanted to like travel while playing, or was it something that just happened?
My Maltese player is to play professionals. You might know it's a very small island, and for any Maltese player to make it abroad is not that easy. So my first dream was to try and make it professionally abroad. I realized that dream, and I played in many different countries. From Germany, I went to Austria, Hungary, Greece, then Cyprus, Portugal, then to India as well. Of course, as you said, this helped me so much in building my football philosophy, because football is not just, you know, the technical or the tactical side, but also the culture behind it, you know. And some, you know, some coaches try and adopt that philosophy into a country which is not complementary to that culture, you know, which is not easy to do. And this helped me a lot, you know, especially also that's why I 1 year in a different continent, and that's why I went to India as well, because I wanted to learn as well about the culture in India and about the football culture as well. And that helped me a lot, and I think it was one of the best moments in career that I spent in India, because I've learned so much, not only about football but also about the culture. And this helps me also as a person, and how to interact with different players who come from different cultures. So as a coach, it's not only the technical, tactical, or the physical or the psychological part, but also the social aspect, how you deal with players who are coming from different backgrounds.
Definitely. And I'll touch on India because that was the last club, and probably your only club outside of Europe, you know, like as per se. And how did that happen? Because, you know, it's quite it might be a very brave decision, because like I had been to Europe, and I was in Barcelona for 4-5 months. I was doing my coaching courses and here and there. So, you know, when you interact with people from Europe, okay, they are comfortable in some environment, which probably India is a little bit different, because India itself is very different in different parts. And I have stayed in India for quite a while too. So how did India happen to you?
Yes, basically when my contract expired with my club here in Cyprus, so an agent contacted me and he asked me if I'm interested to go in India, and it was, I mean, I said, why not? Also, the league, as you might know, is shorter than other European countries, which was only 6 months, and I think it was perfect for me, because being away from my family, it was hard, you know, so I spent 6 months, 7 months alone in India, which weren't easy. However, it was an amazing experience, as I said. and the contact came through an agent. However, I also asked players who played in India about the situation, and they told me really good things about it. And when I experienced the league there, it was unbelievable. I mean, the organization, the people, India as a league, even as a marketing tool, ESL thing, some better than other European countries, in my opinion. But even the organization, the facilities, the football pitches, everything was perfect, in my opinion. There wasn't something different. The only difference was, maybe the lifestyle in India, which was totally different, as you might know, from Europe. However, I believe if you want to be successful in life, I think you need to get out of your comfort zone, and try different things and try and learn from different cultures. And that's why I always say that India was one of the best experiences I had in my life, because I saw different aspects, not only regarding football, but also about the social aspect. And I also traveled in many states, because as you might know, the South is different than the North, so that was something that I cherish all my life.
And when going to India, like, were you already aware, okay, this is going, since you say it's a small, like shorter league, like 7 months, 6 months, depending on whether you qualify for the later stages. And did you know, okay, this is going to be my last league, I'm going to retire after this, or were you not sure?
No, I think it was planned before, I could have done another year playing in a different country, but I think it was more than enough for me. I mean, I'm a person which is motivated more intrinsically. If I can't reach any targets, I would say it's better to stop and start my new career in coaching, and that's what's the decision. However, I think 7 months were more than enough to play in India for me personally. Although there were interests that I could maybe negotiate another year or change the club. However, I was happy in Chennai with the club, with the people, and for me, although we didn't win it, we lost in the finals, which was a pity. However, yes, one of the most amazing experiences I had. And I think, 7 months was enough for me. But I planned it before. I didn't plan it in the last week, for example. I planned that I said I would play another 7 months in India, learn new things, and then start my new career in coaching.
And like you said, like, like how there were talks of maybe on the table, like probably of a new contract or maybe some other thing. Did like losing in the final, unfortunately, against ATK, now ATK Mohun Bagan, did you think, okay, like I'll come back next year and play, probably win and then retire? Because everyone wants to go out on a high, like, did you think of that?
That's true. Honestly, I remember when we left, when I entered into the tunnel after the whistle in Goa and I went to the dressing room, I said that I promised myself that when I'm a coaching and I'm in a final, I will try to never lose any other final, because I lost 3 finals, to be honest. I lost 2 cup finals and also the league final in India, and I experienced many wrong decisions, and I that's what I said when I went back into the dressing room. I said, as a coach, I will try not to lose any more finals. But no, I the thinking that I want to come back and play and try and win it for Chennai. However, as a coach, it will be different. I wish that one day I will have the chance to coach in India, or maybe why not any other continent close to India.
And how was your total experience with Chennai? Because you come from a place where probably it's not so quite humid or hot, and Chennai is quite hot. Although you would have traveled a lot because of the games, but you were primarily stationed in Chennai because of where your home ground was. And how was Chennai as in total? Like how did you find it there?
No, the city is amazing. I mean, very nice people, very friendly people. I really enjoyed it. As regarding the weather, yes, I come from a Mediterranean country, so we have a hot climate as well, However, in Chennai, yes, was more humid than I expected, to be honest. However, yes, I mean, it was a lovely experience. I really enjoyed my time in Chennai. The people are so welcome, not only in Chennai, but in all India, to be honest. They're so welcome. I learned so much about their culture and how they think and what they believe in. And and how they communicate. I really enjoyed their food as well, although I'm not so into spicy things, to be honest. But yes, I mean, it was an amazing experience, and yeah, hopefully one day I will have the chance to return.
And definitely, and like talking about like food and everything, like did you try it? Did you try spicy food, or was it like, did you already know, okay, the food is going to be spicy in India, or did you come and try and probably you realized afterwards?
Honestly, I tried Indian food in Europe. However, as you might know, in Europe, it's not that spicy because you know, the Europeans don't like that spicy food, so spicy. But when my first day in India, I tried, you know, like chicken with spicy. I thought it's going to be a little, you know. However, it was so much that, you know, I remember, you know, I was drinking water with it, and it's not good to drink water after spice. It makes it even more spicy, you know. So I had to take this curd, you know, and yeah, honestly, I don't like that spicy, but yeah, I've learned also about how to eat spicy food as well.
Okay, and since you come, like you have done your sports science, and I wanted to ask you, suppose if you are dealing with a player in India whom you're coaching as a coach, maybe for a team or maybe even for from trainer if you when you go global, and you know the food is like this, like you have a quite different food. How do you work around it? Because it is something probably you would also be new towards, because you just spent one season there, and like something staple like maybe rice, which is very staple in Chennai, rice and curd, which are very staple, which probably is not staple or other places around the globe. How do you come across that?
No, as a trainer, we have our nutritionist who is an expert in nutrition. In fact, he's the nutrition of Tottenham Hotspur, so he works close to Mourinho as well. You know, yeah. But he always tells me that at the end of the day, you just need to adapt. To adapt to the country. You know, at the end of the day. Okay, in Europe we eat rice as well, so in India it's not a problem, you know. And there are different types of food that you can eat. You know, it depends the person. You know, what is good about trainer is that it's not a one size fits all approach. You know, and we try and adapt our philosophy to the individual. You know, so if you're coming from India or from any other country, you know, we try and you know, give you you know, make you aware of different type of foods which help you at the end of the day. You know, so it's not that difficult. It's not that difficult for us to adapt to the individual, irrelevant from which country he comes from.
Definitely. And like going back to your career as a whole, and as a player, which was the most difficult opponent you played against?
Yeah, I'm playing with the national team. I played against many, you know, stars in football, such as Rooney, Ibrahimovic, Pirlo, Balotelli at that time. However, if I had to mention a player which was difficult to mark, was Andrea Pirlo, you know. And in fact, when we played against Italy in Modena in 2012, which we lost 2-0. Yeah, my objective was to try and mark him, because the coach told me, listen, try and mark him. And yes, and in fact, it wasn't easy to mark Pirlo, you know. However, you know, I think I marked him well, because eventually, yeah, he dedicated 3 pages from his autobiography on my marking with him, you know. So I think I did a good job.
Definitely. And like staying the same thing, like you said, you have to go, like you said how you have to adapt to the place you go to. And I saw one of your videos in like where you were not only like at ease on the pitch but also off the pitch. I saw you like you were dancing in one of the functions. How important is it, you know, like as a player to, you know, like pick up probably the local what is going on? Because otherwise you might look, even if you have a good intention, you might look like someone who is not interested, and that may go against you. How important is it, like even for a coach or a player, to pick up the local stuff where you go?
I think it's one of the most important things, in my opinion. I think one of the most important things when you sign with a club, either as a player or as a coach, you try and learn the language. Okay, for me to learn Tamil was very difficult, in my opinion. However, every continent I went, every country I went, whether it's Portugal, Greece, Hungary, I tried to learn a little bit the language, you know, to try and interact with the people. And yes, it is so important to try and also be part of any events with the fans, with the people, with the culture. And yes, I think that's one of the most important things, because at the end of the day, you know, even though you're playing for a club, you are representing that city, you are representing that culture, and you have to be part of it. So yes, it's one of the most important things in my opinion.
Definitely. And since you have played at a very high level and now you're into coaching, like the youth and also the senior as a whole, I was speaking to one player who played for Gokulam, which is the I League in India. He's from Haiti. His name is Fabian Vorb, and he played in the under 20 World Cup, I guess, back in 2002-2004, where he played against Germany. You had Cruz and everyone, and he was like, we were not inferior in terms of quality by a lot, but you go on to see the careers they have had. What do you think, like, because you are into coaching now, what do you think, like, made them take a different career paths? Like, is it just because of the facilities available, or what is it, like, in your opinion? What makes the players, like, reach the extra height?
I believe that it's all about expertise, and that's why we created, this project like Trainer, because I didn't mention it before. The people who are working with Trainer all work in the highest level. For example, our nutritionist, as I told you, is from he works in Tottenham. Our performance psychologist in Arsenal. Our strength conditioning. Also, our talent ID manager is a scout with Manchester United. So these are people who at the end of the day, they are qualified, but also who have experience in high performance environment. And that's what makes the difference, in my opinion. For example, I spent all my youth development in Malta. And in Malta, as you know, it's a very small country, not so much resources when it comes to football. And yeah, if you don't teach the players when they are young, forget that the player will learn when he's older, So certain things you need to coach them when the kids are young, and not just coaching from a technical and tactical aspect, but also from the physical side. If there is some windows of opportunities where you can maximize certain fitness components, and if you don't maximize them, those windows of opportunity, then it's too late. So basically, it boils down to expertise, and if that country has no expertise with experience at the highest level, then yes, there will be a difference. And that's the reason I was one of the guys who created Trainer, because I believe if I had expertise behind me, I would reach much more than I reached.
Definitely. And do you look back with regret? Okay, like this was something like this was not available, or something like this would not have been thought of back when you were starting out, because maybe internet was not there as much as what it is today. Probably today I know about Trainer, or I'm speaking to you because internet is much more available to everyone all around the world compared to back then. Do you think, like, a whole, or it might be unfair to say that, but a whole generation of before that missed out on all these opportunities? Because like you said, you have expertise in your rank. Like, I was seeing the testimonials. You had testimonials from Saka and Josh Martins of various clubs in Premier League and the Championship. So that's a very high caliber. So you are like, do you look back with maybe like, okay, if I was like in this generation, I would have achieved more?
It could be. However, yes, as you pointed out correctly, all the information we have on just a click away. Yes, I mean, today there's more information than my times. However, there's a difference in knowing knowledge and applying knowledge, and that's where the difference comes. Nowadays you can find many training sessions on Google. You just type and you find any training session. But do you know the why of doing that training session? So although maybe nowadays you have the internet and you have many information, it's the expertise that makes you a better athlete, and that's where I believe that it's not just the information we have today, but also the people behind you, and this is one of the tagline that Trainer has, is having the team behind the pro, and nowadays to fulfill your potential, you need to have a team of experts. When you see like Ronaldo has even a chef at home, cooking exactly how he should eat, has a physiotherapist, he has a strength and conditioning coach. They all live beside him, So I believe that football in the future will become like that every player will have a team behind him, and we can start seeing that before football, you only had a coach, an assistant coach, and a goalkeeper coach. But when you see nowadays, you have a lot of coaches, like the NFL, they have, a defensive coach, a midfield coach, an attacking coach. And that's how I see football, that in order to reach your potential, you have to have a team behind you, a team of experts.
Definitely, and I think Ronaldo also has a sleep coach. I think it is Nick
Exactly.
Littenholz from his
Imagine.
time at Manchester United. Like is the as yeah, and like I wanted to ask you like you said how you are still developing your ideology, how you want to play the game, how you want your team to play. So do you have anything in mind? Okay, I want my team to play like this, or is it something like you cannot say, or that's something you develop like with more time?
Yes, as I mentioned before, I was lucky that I traveled so much, and my philosophy is based on how I perceive football should be played. But everybody has his own philosophy. However, we have to always keep in mind as coaches that you can't just implement your philosophy in any country or with any player, because at the end of the day, you have to adapt your philosophy to the type of players you have, and to the country, and to the type of culture you are playing in. You can't expect to play a counter-attacking game in a country which prefer a possession-based attacking style. So yeah, you need to adapt your philosophy to the culture and also to the players you have. However, in at the same time, I'm still developing my philosophy, so I don't have a clear philosophy yet. And as you might know, your philosophy always changes little by little. So I have to adapt my philosophy. But I was lucky enough that I experienced so many, Hungary, Greece, Cyprus, Portugal, and this helped me create my own philosophy. But I'm still, developing it.
Definitely, and like you said, like how you have it's not like a stereotype, but generally a league will have some type of philosophy that is being played, maybe counter attack, maybe position. Like to point out, maybe just like for lack of a better example, maybe Spain they play more of position. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but that is what the conception is, that okay, Spain they play position. So what was your introduction to India? What is the kind of football do they play?
No, as I see it, the Indians prefer to play a possession-based style of football. However, at the end of the as good as you can in all four phases of the game, not just in the offensive organization, but also in offensive transition as well. For example, yesterday we were watching and yeah, I mean, Arsenal are a more possession-based team with Arteta. However, sometimes when they do this quick counter-attack, they can score, build up easily. However, yes, as I saw it myself in India, I see them. Yeah, they prefer an attacking possession-based style than a counter-attacking style.
I may be completely wrong, but you have ATK who are said to be counter-attacking. Maybe I don't know. Like people term them as counter-attacking, and they're one of the most successful. Probably because everyone plays possession.
But as a culture, the
Yeah,
majority of the teams, yeah, I see it. It depends, because, for example, there are teams in other countries which, for example, let's say in played a possession-based style, but Real Madrid under Mourinho played a counter-attacking style. However, the country is still the style of the country is still a possession-based style. When you go in Germany, it's more of a offensive transition, counter-attacking style. However, then when Guardiola went, he tried to adopt a possession-based style, but the culture is still a counter-attacking. But as we said, it depends of the players you have. You can't play a counter-attacking style when you don't have this type of players to play that. At the end of the day. But yes, you are right. Exactly when we lost the final, against ATK, that's what they did actually. They played defensively, and yeah, they tried to hit us on the counter attack, which they did perfectly at the end of the day because they won.
definitely. And do you feel sad? Okay, because okay, like there is no correct way to play football. Like whatever suits you or whatever is best for the team, the coach will do. But like possession, at least these days, are said to be the better, or at least for the fans to watch. Do you feel like okay, we have played so well, and someone hits you on the counter and they win? Do you feel sad at the end of the day more because okay, you tried to play good football and you lost?
Yeah, I mean, football is sometimes it's not fair. I mean, it's not about how much you dominate the game with having possession, but at the end of the day, the result that counts. And of clubs who are playing a counter-attacking situation, because at the end of the day, if you don't have the players to play a possession based, or you're playing against a better team, you have to play counter-attacking. You can't play a possession based and try and play expansive football, you know. Like for example, last week, West Bromwich Albion, I think, with Liverpool, they even played 6-4. They didn't even play with a striker, you know, and then they just hit one counter-attack and they scored, you know, and it was unfair for the rest. However, that's football, you know, and at the end of the day, it's a very it's very driven business, you know, business driven. And yes, I believe that at the end of the day, as a manager, when you are working at the highest level, what counts is the result and not how you want to play at the end of the day.
Of course, and talking of managers and style, do you have any particular managers or set of managers whom you look up to or try to follow every game of theirs, or not if every game, most of the games?
No, basically, I enjoy every game. Those managers who are really successful, but even those managers who maybe coach not at a highest level. For example, I still follow Indian Super League, especially Chennai. I watch the games. I watch how they're trying to play and everything. Nowadays, I look at it not as just as tactical point of view. I enjoy watching Man City, of course, because of Guardiola, Liverpool, but I also like to watch. He has a really good philosophy, in my opinion. Basically, at the end of the day, it's good to watch many different coaches, not those. So because always pinpoint good things about each manager, I watch a lot of games, many leagues.
Definitely. And staying with that same topic, if you had to choose one manager who had the most influence on you in your full career, who would that be?
Okay, so basically, I traveled a lot, as you know. I changed many clubs, so I saw many philosophies, many methodologies. However, if there was one coach who left an impact on me, was Javi Gracia, who is the manager of Valencia. I didn't spend a lot, to be honest with him. It was only 3 months because we signed together with one team in Greece. However, this team got relegated because of corruption previous years. And so we had to change clubs, everybody, every player, every manager that we had. But the 3 months I did with him was, I loved the Spanish methodology. I also enjoyed watching his trainings. I enjoyed in training as well. I liked his tactical discussions. So yeah, he left an impact, and we're still friends till today. We message each other, and yes, I mean, he if I had to say about one manager, it was him.
And of course, like you mentioned, you have traveled a lot, in terms of football. What is the most bizarre or strange incident that you have come across, in your footballing career?
Bizarre experience, to be honest.
Or funny or anything.
Funny. Okay. Maybe maybe I think one time we were playing a game, and the opposite team had two players playing with the same number, so so that was a little bit strange, to be honest. And they realized immediately, because if the game finished and someone knew that there was a player who had the same number, won the game with a protest or something, so it was a little bit strange, to be honest.
Definitely. And we are getting to the end, and I'll ask last two or three questions to be fair. And the first of the three is, if you had to choose one highlight from your career, one moment, which might be difficult, but if you choose one moment, which one would that be?
So basically, I think one of my highlights was when I scored in the Europa League against Atalanta, and I was the first Maltese player to score in that competition. And of course, when you score against Atalanta, it was the goal that drew. I felt like celebrating. However, at that time, one of our journalists in Malta, investigative journalist, was killed. And instead of celebrating, I didn't celebrate, just to pay my respects to her, So it was a nice moment for me, that I scored, and so until now I'm the only player that scored in the Europa League. However, that I showed also my human side, and I showed that Yeah, I didn't celebrate the goal just to respect the journalist that killed the man.
Of course. And the second last question is, like, you have played in so many clubs. Again, might be difficult. If you had to choose one where you had the most fun, which one would that be?
It's not easy to answer because in every country I went, I enjoyed, I learned, I had disappointments. But I mean, it's a very difficult question. I mean, for example, in Cyprus, although I'm from Malta, will experience it this time as a coach, but for sure not as a player. But I also had the nice experiences in Portugal where I played against Benfica in front of in Greece against Panionios, Olympiacos. I mean, every country where I went, it was amazing. Even in Hungary, for example, the derby, Ferencváros and the feeling of playing against some
Yeah. Hello, can you hear me?
yes.
Yeah. This just froze for a
Froze a
second.
little bit.
Yeah, but it's fine.
Okay.
So not a problem. So like, we'll wrap it up with one final question. I'll not take much of your time. So like, if you had to give a piece of advice to a young player who is just coming up, what advice would you give that player?
So my advice is that any dream can be possible. It's not because you come from a small country or from a country which football is not the most favorite sport. You can always reach your dreams. It depends on you. It depends how much you want it, and in order to be successful, you have to always get out of your comfort zone. So this is my advice to all people who would like to achieve their dreams.
Definitely. And like, on that note, Andrew, thank you so much for talking to me, and I wish you all the best for your coaching career. Hope you have a successful career like your playing career and travel all around the world as a coach. And hopefully I see you in India someday, maybe guiding Chennai to the final and maybe winning it. You never know.
Yes,
So,
why not?
and hope to talk to you again soon. Until then, take care, stay safe. Bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot for the invitation.
Thank you.
Player-wise, it would have to be Steven Gerrard, just because, again, before he became a journalist, he was someone I just admired massively in terms of the absolute complete footballer. I think if you were trying to make a footballer in a factory, it would be Steven Gerrard, someone who, I think JB Carragher summed it up best once when he said, Steven Gerrard's biggest strength is he doesn't have any weaknesses.
The stadium. I don't see really need to do that, mainly such a big spending, but it's true that it would be a fantastic stadium. That's not bad, but you have to be careful, and mainly at this moment when we are going to face a very difficult time.